Where we learn how to transform the way we live with eczema. My name is Terry Alwada, and today I'm going to talk about a theory I've had for a few years and just want to put out there into the universe to see if anyone else agrees or disagrees or has anything else that they would like to say about it or add to it. And the idea that I've had for a few years about eczema is that I think that a more effective way to approach and treat this condition is to actually treat it as a symptom of other conditions or a symptom of other diseases. And I say this because anyone who's lived with eczema knows that there are so many triggers. There are so many things that set it off that it's so hard to pinpoint for even the most experienced doctor, at least in the West. And there's never one protocol or step-by-step treatment plan that ever fully heals it. And to me, that is strange. Keep in mind, disclaimer, I'm no doctor yet. I'm not a scientist, but I do have a PhD in living with eczema, and I've had it for almost 30 years. So in a sense, you could say I'm a vet. And being an eczema vet, I've gone through many battles with it. Many times where I've been in full remission and had a new flare-up or felt just fine, and then next thing I know, I have a bunch of inflammation for some reason, and it sometimes has a physical source and it sometimes has an emotional source. These days it's environmental. Being in Australia right now, I'm in Perth and it's beautiful, but it is dry and it is very warm. So I don't know if you can tell, but there's some creases in my neck going on because of the inflammation from the dry weather and the sun, and it's very easy for me to get sunburnt out here because there's no ozone layer or it's very deteriorated. So my face just keeps flaking and flaking because even though I put on sunblock, it seems to still be very sensitive to the sunlight out here, whereas I didn't need to wear sunblock at home in California and I would actually be just fine. No sunburn or anything. So it's an interesting evolution and journey that you can have with sensitive skin and definitely eczema. In any case, having a PhD and being a veteran of living with eczema, I think to myself, true diseases seem to have a step-by-step, consistent protocol that produces results, has more guaranteed healing, has more guaranteed curing of the actual ailment. For example, if you have the cold, you rest, you take vitamin C, garlic, onions to boost your immune system, soup. You avoid a lot of heavy solid foods and sometimes take a vaccine or whatnot, and it's likely that you will heal from it in 1 to 2 weeks, and if it gets worse, it can become pneumonia, where you take more drastic measures and may take stronger pharmaceutical drugs like antibiotics to help you heal from it. Another example I could think of off the top of my head is getting athlete's foot or some sort of fungal rash infection. You just use antifungal, antibacterial, and antimicrobial skincare or products, and you apply it, and over time that will heal because that is very specific and actual disease. But with eczema, it's like you could have so many kinds and versions of it, and there could be so many sources of it. I'm just inclined to not think it's really a disease. I truly believe that is actually just a symptom of imbalance. And once you find out what the source of the imbalance is, that's how you can truly heal both the imbalance and the rash as a byproduct of it. And so I'm thinking of some examples of how eczema is more of a symptom. I have seen some accounts on Instagram, and I won't point them out for privacy's sake and out of respect, but I've seen some people with cancer say that once they developed cancer, they developed eczema rashes. It's not so much about dealing with the rashes and taking steroids to suppress your immune response to whatever you're actually going through. It's actually dealing with what you're actually going through and knowing that the symptoms will go away once the source of them also goes away. And so that's one example. Another example in my own life that I've experienced is having a really raised, thick, almost psoriasis-like rashes that developed on my hand from eating a lot of excess sugar, dealing with a lot of stress from traveling, and having a period of my travels where I was just like eating a lot of sweet vegan treats, and the refined sugar from those made me worse. And that was feeding the candida. Now, as you can see, my hand is all clear now. There were, oh god, yeah, this camera's not gonna show them, but there were some really red, raised, thick, tender rashes that were in circular patterns, like around my wrist and my hand and like all along my arm. And once I looked up those symptoms on Google, and I realized that the overall pattern was that they were all pointing towards me having candida, I read up on candida and how to deal with it, and I got rid of refined sugar cold turkey. I started to discover vegan treats that are raw and don't contain refined sugars or much sugars, so I'm still able to get like a nice sweet-like treat, but not to the same degree, and it's definitely not as syrupy or as sweet as cane sugar or refined sugar, but it's still pretty damn tasty. And your taste buds, well, my taste buds, I find, tend to adjust over 2 weeks' time once I change something about my diet or the sort of flavors that I include in it. The body's an adaptable being, and we are more than capable of adjusting to our circumstances as we need. And so as you can see, it's clear because I took care of the source of the problem, which was like overeating sugar and carbs, and I've improved my diet, and I'm mostly having veggies, legumes, nuts, some nut butters, and certain berries like strawberries, blueberries, acai, boysenberries. I even can have some cherries and some green apples as well, and I've just been taking care of it from the source. So that's another example of how like the rashes were a symptom of a greater issue, which was candida, which was caused by overeating, getting overheated in the super humid hot weather in Fiji a few months ago, and also regulating my stress levels, meditating more, being more physically active, just adopting a more laid back and flexible attitude, doing all this moving to different Airbnbs, and some, living situations are better than others, but in the end, I always have options, and Airbnb is actually really great if you need to shorten your reservation or cancel it last minute. They're very helpful, and luckily the places I've been going to have like lots of great options and posts. So if I need to find something last minute, I usually am able to, knock on wood. And yeah, so I think that instead of seeing eczema as like this thing, like the eczema and the rashes are the things to heal, it's like, sure, get protection, use good sunblock, use good quality skincare. You can do all of those things, but I wonder if it would be worth just trying to look in deeper into just what you're having with eczema, because I find that certain rashes come up in certain circumstances, and like, for example, if you just look at my face, it may look fairly normal depending on your resolution and your color balance on whatever device you're watching me on right now. But if I hold up my hand, you can see that my face is much more pink and red than what my actual skin tone is. And this sort of like overall rash that's happening on my face and neck is a result of being exposed to the sun out here in Australia. And here the ozone layer is deteriorated, so the UV rays really hit you directly much more. I'm much more sensitive to feeling them, and my skin just like immediately starts to, I don't know, it seems like the most top epithelial layer just kind of crisps up, and usually by the next day I'm just feeling tight because the top layer is now super dead from being exposed to the UV rays. My skin is peeling to let new skin come through, and I as a protective mechanism, I'm guessing. So yeah, whatever. This is like the third time my face and neck have gone like sunburned from the sun here, though it does seem to be a pretty common look out here. There's a lot of toasty faces that I see out here, so I guess I just kind of blend in. But knowing what my regular or normal threshold is and what my skin tone usually looks like, I'm just like, oh, I'm so crispy right now. And it does feel hot to the touch, so I know it's something that I was exposed to externally, that this is an environmentally triggered reaction. It does feel kind of tender and hurt a bit, but I'm still able to move and function and eat and cook, and so I'm happy and grateful for that. And also, I would still film this YouTube video. It's just what it is. It's real life. This is what it's like to live with eczema. C'est la vie. Move on. And yeah, so just wanted to share that thought. Consider eczema as more of a symptom than an actual disease, because there's just so many types of eczema. It's overwhelming to try to figure out what specific thing will help that. I believe that the skin is a very sensitive, and it is literally a permeable organ with our pores. It's surrounded, all of our organs are surrounded by nerve endings. They're all interconnected through the nervous system, and the sensations and any imbalances that we feel in any of our organs, including our skin, is processed through our brain, which is one of the main control centers of the nervous system, aside from our gut, which I have heard and read about, that our gut is another kind of brain or intelligent processing system that lets us know when things are off, like when you have a gut feeling about something or something feels dangerous and you feel like a sinking, queasy feeling in your gut. So just think about that, and think if there's anything else going on in your life. How is your diet? How are your relationships, if you have any? How are your friendships, your family relationships? How do you handle stress? Or what kind of environment are you living in? Do you notice anything with the weather patterns? Do you live in a clean environment? Are you surrounded by pollution? Are you exposed to pollution when you're commuting or when you're at work? Like, are you making sure to constantly wash your hands in between, like touching things or shaking other people's hands? Like, you just don't know what people are touching before they touch you. Try to look deeper than the skin, because the source and the reasons are usually skin deep. They are usually deeper than just what the skin is showing you. The skin is here to give us feedback. I feel like it's just that one organ that's connected to our systems internally and externally. It protects all of our inner organs, including our brain. And as well as protecting our inner organs and being in constant contact with them, it's also in constant contact with the environment and what's going on around us, whether it's energy or weather, or pollution, or nature, which is really rejuvenating to me. It's constantly sensing all these things through the sense of touch. If it's showing us something that is off, that is abnormal, like a rash, like redness, inflammation, swelling, oozing, bleeding, and cracking and flaking and all those things, there is something off. And that is something that is worth investigating. I'm just saying, don't stop at eczema. See if it's stress related, see if it's a lifestyle issue, see if it's like a career issue, a relationship issue, or maybe even just like a relationship with yourself. And I'm going to leave a few links down below for some articles that I found interesting, where eczema and rashes can be related to other diseases, and including candida or cancer, or just as a sign of imbalance. So check those links down below. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe if you like more videos about living with eczema and eczema lifestyle related topics. Like this video if you'd like to see more like this, and please comment below with any questions or video requests for any topics and content you'd like to see in the future. No holds barred, there is no limit, I will go there. The more we talk about eczema, the less taboo and mysterious it is, and the more transparency, the more control we have. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next